Welcome back to Mosaic. I'm Rabbi Eric Weiss, and honored to be your host. We're joined now by Howard Freedman, who's the librarian of the Jewish Community Library here in San Francisco. Welcome, Howard.
Thanks for having me.
So, what is new at the Jewish Community Library?
There's always something new because there are always books coming out, but we have a lot of programs at the library. One of the programs I'm most excited about is a year-long program that we have called One Bay, One Book, and that's where we invite the community, everybody in the community, to read a single book and discuss it and discuss its themes. And the book we've selected for the current year is, I don't know if you can see this.
Why don't we hold it up and just put it right here and hold it up steady
David Bezmosgis' new novel called The Betrayers, and it's a very interesting novel. David Bezmosgis is originally from Latvia. He's a young writer, and this is about an Israeli politician who was once a Soviet dissident, and he unexpectedly finds himself back in Ukraine, where he's face to face with the man who had betrayed him to the KGB. And the hitch is that he sort of lacks the moral high ground that you would expect when he's confronting this man, because we, the readers, know that this man is having an affair and betraying his own wife and family. And so it's really about the murkiness of morality, and it makes a lot of references to the Bible, to the story of King David, who also was a, sort of a hero at one level and also had a very sort of problematic moral career.
Interesting. So the issue of betrayal on both the personal, interpersonal, and on the more communal
Exactly, yeah.
level.
It's set against the backdrop of history, and at the same time it's intensely personal.
So it's a historic nonfiction?
It's not historic. I mean, it takes place in history, but it's a work of fiction, and it's one of the interesting things is how many themes that it draws out, and one of them is to look at this history that for you and me was really just part of our lives, seeing the breakup of the Soviet Union and the yearning for Jews to get out of the Soviet Union, and now looking back at that as history, and sort of trying to find the meaning in that.
And so if somebody's interested in One Bay, One Book and this particular novel, then how do they participate?
They can actually just go to there's a website, onebayonebook.com, and they can, as an institution, actually join in, and we are very happy to help them have whether they have a book group or actually are affiliated with an institution, they can actually get books from us and sort of have a sponsored book discussion. Our idea is really to bring the library out into the community, and so that we can have exchanges of ideas really where people are at. And what's really nice is that when people have book discussions, it goes way beyond the book itself, and that's what we really like, is for books to stimulate meaningful discussion.
I think one of the reasons why people join a book club is for that conversation about what they're reading in common. And what is the elixir there that leads then to sharing more personally about one's life among the members of the book club that go beyond the topic of the book itself? What do you think's at work there?
Well, I think it's one of the powers of literature, is that really when we are empathic with the characters in a book, it stimulates our thinking about our own lives and others' lives. And that's the case whether the issues are ones that are really, or ones that are relevant to us personally, or we may find that something isn't resonant but for us individually, but when we're within a group, there may be somebody else for whom that experience is powerful, and for us to be able to hear and exchange ideas with that person, that expands our own understanding of the world around us. So I think it's a unique experience, and when you don't participate and just simply read alone, you lack that kind of social dimension, and I've come to believe that that's really important.
So in a way, really, a book club is a kind of glue of social interaction and community building.
I think so. Yeah.
And so the library essentially provides the scaffolding for a book club. So do you literally go into the book clubs themselves and facilitate the conversations, or do you give suggestions for it, or how does the architecture of it work from the viewpoint of the library?
It's really according to what the book group needs. So sometimes we provide a facilitator. Sometimes we have a what's called Book Club in a Box program, and we provide the physical books free of charge. And other times we just simply provide resources. We prepared discussion guides for this book and for a lot of other books.
Fantastic. Howard, we're going to take a quick break, and please join us back in just a moment here on Mosaic. Good morning and welcome back to Mosaic. I'm Rabbi Eric Weiss. We're in the middle of a wonderful conversation with Howard Freedman, who is the director of the Jewish Community Library here in San Francisco. We were talking earlier about a book club that one book, one bay. And I'm wondering what other programs you can tell folks about at the Jewish Community Library.
So the library has a lot of public programs, and they're all free and they're available. Anybody can attend. You certainly don't have to be Jewish. And one thing we try to do as a library, both in our collection and also in our programs, is to provide lots of different inroads to the Jewish experience, meaning that we focus on literature, but we also focus on history, on music, art, film. And so, for example, this coming Thursday, we'll have a program by a visiting Israeli scholar and performer, Yair Harel, about Hebrew poetry, primarily from the medieval times, and primarily set with music that really took root in North Africa and the Arab world among Jewish communities, and he'll be doing a workshop, and so that'll be happening at the library this Thursday. Next month, related to the Betrayers that I mentioned, we'll have Robert Alter, the professor of Hebrew literature at UC Berkeley, present on the Psalms, because the Psalms also plays a significant part in this novel. And one of the things we like to do with One Bay, One Book is to tie it in is to have programs that are related to its different themes and sort of branches. Then we have other film and music programs and literary programs, and that's basically what we do throughout the year, making connections between the literature that we have on the shelves and events and opportunities for people to come together around them.
Wonderful. You know, libraries, I think, have become such a commonplace that they are as if the air we breathe. And so whether it's a public library or a public library, people are just used to having a library to go to or to explore. And yet libraries need to buy books, and they need to pay rent, and they need to make decisions about the kind of folks that they employ to support readers that come through the door. And I'm wondering, how does the Jewish Community Library gain its support to buy the books for its shelves and the periodicals and the newspapers for people to come in as if it's the air they breathe?
That's tough. Fortunately, we're actually a program of Jewish Learning Works, which is a nonprofit organization, so that provides some of our scaffolding. And we also have a Friends of the Jewish Community Library organization, which we're very dependent on and very grateful for. But the truth is that it's a real challenge to be a library in the 21st century. There is a perception among many people that a library and physical books are something of the past. Obviously, I have a vested interest in an opposite opinion, but I also think that as we do have sort of a contraction in many ways, with bookstores shutting, with video stores shutting, and some libraries in retreat, in a sense, that the role of the libraries that we do have actually becomes more important, and that's even more important with a very sort of specific special interest library like our own, because it used to be that synagogues had libraries often, and it used to be there were Jewish bookstores. There are very few today, and so people increasingly go to us as the central place to find books, CDs, or DVDs around the Jewish experience that you simply can't find elsewhere. And there's also this sort of illusion that you can find everything online, and the truth is that you can't. We have hundreds of films that you can't find on Netflix that won't be streaming, and there's a real loss if there's not that access to those materials.
So it's a big question, but what makes a book Jewish? What makes a library Jewish?
For me, I sort of have a maximalist position that I think, a very expansive one, which is that we start in Judaism from a very core book, the book in some sense, and we grow from that with commentaries and lots of volumes that originally begin within the religious tradition, but ultimately I feel that the making of books within the Jewish world is all an extension of the same project, which is to sort of make meaning of the world around us. And for me, something where that consciousness is there, it doesn't necessarily mean that any book by a Jewish author is a Jewish book, but when we're trying to make meaning of our world, then it relates to that bigger Jewish project, and it belongs.
Howard, thank you so much. Believe it or not, we've come to the end of our time together. We kind of put a comma in the conversation. So we leave you with this thought that literacy matters. Enjoy reading. Thank you so much for being with us here on Mosaic.